Hi, this is Cheryl for Bears Pampered Stampers. Today we're going to look at how to assemble Folio 5 by Photoplay. This video will cover just assembling the naked folio. There'll be a separate video that you can watch that'll talk about decorating ideas. Here's a picture of how the folio turns out. You can see there's lots of pockets and a nice sideways waterfall and some fun things there. It finishes up to be about 7 inches by 5.5 inches, so it's got a lot of decorating space and a lot of fun. Now, to complete this folio, you obviously need the kit. That's important. You need a ruler. We need to be able to identify the pieces they're referring to, and sometimes they look pretty close, so being able to measure and make sure that you've got the proper piece of cardstock really helps a lot. You need a bone folder. We want to make some good solid creases in this folio. You need a pair of scissors, just some small cuts, not anything major, but you need to be able to do them. You also need a paper trimmer. There's just a couple of cuts that you need to make. Again, very simple and straightforward. You gotta have the paper trimmer though. And most importantly, you need a good strong adhesive. I use score tape. Score tape I know is strong and is going to hold things in place. They suggest a 3/8 inch adhesive. I don't have that, so for mine I used 1/4 inch score tape along with 1/8 inch score tape. Score tape, if you remember, has the word Sookwang on the liner and usually on the inner core as well. That's how you know you've got the right thing. Some of the knockoffs don't always work as well, but use what you know and what you're comfortable with. Do not use a tape runner though. They're just not strong enough. So make sure you've got a good, strong, double-sided adhesive to put this together. Like all good projects, we start with the instructions. They begin on the other side of this cover piece and they continue on a couple of pages that are included. You want to read through the instructions first so that you understand where you're headed. It will make it a lot easier to assemble. You can see there's lots of great pictures that will help you through if you don't quite understand what I'm saying or what they're telling you in the instruction. You can see the picture and that will help a lot as well. So good luck. It's an easy folio to put together, so I don't think you'll have any troubles with it. If you do have questions, though, you can reach me through Melissa at Bears Pampered Stampers. So we're going to start out first with the outside cover piece. It's the biggest piece that's included. There's an inside cover piece as well, and I'm just going to show you that for purposes of saying you've got two very similar pieces, so make sure you know which one you've got. The outside cover is bigger than the inside cover, but not by a whole heck of a lot. We're going to go ahead and fold this cover along the score lines, and we're going to crease it with the bone folder. Now, even where the lines are pre-folded for you, they don't do the creasing for you, so make sure you do that because you want to have some good crisp lines to work with. So there's the outer cover of our Folio 5. I'm going to set that back for a minute while I reach for the inside cover. The inside cover, I've already placed score tape on my pieces. Your pieces will not come like that. I wanted to save you seeing me placing score tape because it's kind of like paint drying. But same as we did with the outer cover, we're going to go ahead and fold on all those score lines. Including the ones that are pre-folded by the manufacturer. Now, the first thing you want to do per step 3 Actually, let's just finish step 2. Here's our outside cover. Here's our inside cover. They should fit inside one another because our first goal is to put these two together. So make sure that they line up. Maybe switch them around. I'm going to flip this to the other side and see if there's a better fit, which there is. So you can kind of see when I've got these pieces together, how it's going to go. So the first thing I want to do is to put adhesive just on the back side here. And we're going to insert this or install it inside that outside cover. So this is my inside cover piece. Confusing. You've got two covers. We're putting them together to make something that is much stronger between the two than the individual was. So we want to go ahead and make sure that they line up. Again, you're centering. This inner one is just a little bit smaller than the outer cover, but everything's centered. Everything should line up is what you should have. I'm going to work from one side to the other. I'm just exposing part of the score tape to get this in. Again, focusing on being centered. Not always easy being straight. I've got a lot of reference lines here that I can work from. I've only got a part of my score tape exposed because I don't want to stick this whole thing down until I'm certain that I'm in the right place. It's not that I can't fix it, it's just difficult. And I'm being careful and taking my time on this because I want it right the first time. I do not want to have to revisit this. So there's my one side installed. I look good on the other side as well. Now I feel more confident about removing these other liners and just sort of rolling this cover into place. We've got the outside cover laying face down. It's the inside cover that I'm attaching just at the centers. Making sure it goes in straight and everything looks good. So that's what I should have at this point in time, is only that center part attached. If you haven't already, now is the time to add your score tape to the two sides. We're going to do these one at a time. We're going to work with the left side first. I'm going to add score tape to that spine, and I'm going to roll it into place. Then I'm going to go ahead and expose the score tape on the two side, on the far left side here. And let that go down into place. So you can see I've got a super strong cover forming here. Now I'm going to flip it over just because it's easier for me. I'm lefty, so this is the right direction for me. If working on the other side first is easier for you, you do that. The main goal here is to get your covers installed together with a minimum of difficulty. Again, you're watching to make sure things remain straight and smooth and everything else. So I like to do my spine first and then my side. Again, I know or feel comfortable that everything is going down the way it should go down. And now I have the two covers fully attached. A little bit of a bubble there, not quite sure why. But I'm going to go ahead with my bone folder and I'm going to burnish those creases again. Now that they're together, I want to make sure I have a good solid crease for the new and improved and solid cover that's underneath here. And there we have it. If you have some areas like I do where it's just sort of bubbling up a little bit, I go ahead and take my bone folder and run it across, and that should bring everything into line. Make sure you've used enough score tape though underneath so that it does hold together. The bubbles that I have are in between my lines of score tape. So maybe I would have done better if I had put the score tape a little closer or used a little bit more of it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You do it right. I did what I did. So that's my cover that's taken care of at this point in time. Here we're looking for, and we're now moving on to step 4. We have 4 pieces that measure 7 by 5.5. They are scored once with a 1/2-inch flap. Again, I'm going to grab my ruler, make sure I've got the right pieces. That looks like 7, and this looks like 5.5. So I've got the right pieces. I'm going to go ahead and fold on those flaps. Oops, I'm going to fold the other way because that's where my score tape is. And I want to burnish those creases and make sure they're good and solid on all 4 of these pages. These are the pages of our mini album that we're going to install here in just a second. Much easier than it looks, no stress. Okay, so my 4 pages are ready to go. That's step 4. And now we move on to step 5. We're going to bring the base album back in. And we're going to put this on the inside of the left spine, aligning to the inside crease, just like that. It helps if I'm on camera, so we'll do that. You do not want to cover over the crease. You want to be just to the side of it. So I will go ahead and remove my score tape, or at least partially remove it. When I say partially remove, what I do is I pull back the liner and just fold it to the side. That way I've only got exposed score tape up here. The other part isn't, so it's not going to stick to anything and create a problem. I can set this down just a little bit off. So I'm going to go ahead and move down. You want to center that page to the extent that you need to center. It should pretty much match top to bottom. I'm going to kind of hold it in place there. Pull the rest of those liners off and just guide that page into place. Oh, no wonder I had 2 pages at once. Sorry about that. So my first page is inserted there. Again, I'm right to the side of the score line. If I hadn't had 2 together, I would be a little closer to the score line, but it's all good. I'm going to grab a second page and I'm going to install it right next to that one that I just did. So I'm going to lay it down right there. It matches all the way down, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of my score tape liner and just guide that page into place. So now my little album has 2 pages on the left side. I'm going to shift to the right. Again, it's still going to close just fine, no problems here. And I've still got my other 2 pages, which I'm going to install on the right side. Again, this one, the first page, I'm going to install just to the right of that inside score line. So I'll go ahead and remove part of the score tape. Kind of lay it into place. Remove the rest of my liner and then just guide the rest of my page in where it needs to go. Just a little crooked on that because I have trouble seeing with this camera. I apologize for that. Second page is going to install just to the right of the first. So again, pretty easy peasy. I do half at a time in case I have a mess up here. I can fix it if I need to. Or at least fix it easier, right? And you know, one of the 4 had to give me a little trouble, right? So there we go. I've got pages on both sides of my album at this point. And there we have it. So we're done with the instructions on the front part of the card, and we're moving on to step 7 to install some pockets. So step 7, we're looking for 2 6.5 by 6-inch pockets. I'm a firm believer in checking dimensions to make sure I've got the right pockets. I do. I'm going to go ahead and prep both of these at the same time, even though I'm only going to install them one at a time. We'll start by cutting the corners. This is to remove the bulk from the pocket where it's folded. So where these score lines intersect, you just want an angular cut right beside that. We'll go ahead and fold in the sides and burnish it. And then we'll fold in the bottom and do the same. My corners look pretty good. I cut a little too far on this one, but it's okay. It's not really going to show. I'm making sure that I don't have any bulk there at the edges. I'll go ahead and do my second pocket now, even though we'll install that a little bit later. So I'm cutting out my corners. Sorry, folding backwards again. Folding up the sides. And then folding up the bottom. Once again, checking those pockets to make sure there's no extra fullness. There isn't. They look good from the front. So now what I want to do is to grab my album. I've got page 1. And this first pocket I want on page 1. I'm going to line it with the left edge of the page, so I'm going to bring it all the way over here. Align it with the bottom. My opening, of course, is at the top. And this is step 6 if you're following along. I'm going to go ahead and remove the liner from the bottom only. I like installing the bottoms of my pockets first, and then just folding up the sides. So here we go, we're aligning with the left edge and the bottom edge. So I press that into place. I'm going to go ahead and remove the liners on the sides. And I'll go ahead and fold the pocket into place. So we have a pocket installed then on page 1. The other pocket that we prepared, we're going to set aside and we're going to install it a little bit later. So what you now need to do is look for a 5 by 5 inch square that's in your packet. 5 by 5. It's scored on all 4 sides. What I need to do is take that to a paper trimmer and cut it diagonally. So you're going to lay these 2 points along your cutting line and simply cut the pocket in half. So you end up with 2 sort of slash pockets here. We're going to prepare those pockets, even though we'll just install one right here now. So first thing I want to do is cut out the fullness at the bottom, at that corner. I also want to cut out fullness here at the points. And I'll go ahead and fold those sides in and burnish them with my bone folder. What I end up with is this cute little corner pocket. I've got just a bit of a point on this end, so I want to go out and trim it just a little bit more. And this is my page 1, and I want to put this on the back of page 1 in the lower corner, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and remove my score tape. Match my corners. And press that into place. So now I have a cute little side pocket on the back of this. Let's go ahead and prepare this other pocket to save time for later. I'm going to cut the corner going to trim at the points. And I'm going to fold and burnish the sides. As always, I want to check the pocket, make sure there's no extra fullness there. There isn't. I've got a good point there and there. I've got a little extra on this end. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little trim. That looks good, and I'm going to set it aside because we'll install that in a few minutes. Now, step 11, we're going to find an 8 by 5 1/4 inch piece that's scored on 3 sides. And again, measure, make sure you've got the right piece. This is going to be a pocket for the inside center panel here. So again, I've already put my score tape in. We're going to move on to step 12. Sorry, we're going to stay with step 11 for a minute. We're going to go ahead and cut these corners, as we always do on pockets. And we'll fold up the side and bottom edges. Check my corners here and here for extra fullness, which I don't have. Checking the front, everything looks good. Now this is going to be installed on the center panel inside. I've got to be between these inside score lines. So I'm going to center, I'm going to line up with the bottom edge, top edge of the pocket, of course, is open. So like I did before when I attached these bottom pockets, I just want to remove part of this liner at first from the bottom edge. I like to line up the bottom edge and then do the sides. If I've got the bottom right, the sides should just follow nicely. Again, I want it centered. Once I feel comfortable with the placement, I'll go ahead and pull the rest of the score tape and guide the pocket into place. Then I can fold it back and remove the score tape on the 2 sides. And so now I have a pocket on my center panel, and that's step 11 completed. Step 12, we're going to look for 4 5.5 by 4 inch pieces. Here they are. We're going to not fold on the score line at this point, so leave them as they are. We're going to apply adhesive to each of the flaps, just the 1/2 inch part here. And then I'm going to put one on this center pocket, matching the bottom edge. So what we're doing is we're making a sideways waterfall. It seems to me like that's kind of... Hang on, I'm going to look at their picture for a minute. It seems to me like we would want that flap under. and I can't see from the picture, so it's all good. We do want the flap under. We don't need that over. Okay, so what I'm going to say, they say don't fold. I think folding is the right answer, just like we've done with other waterfalls, because I want that flap inside. I want everything to open this way, and I don't want a flap sticking over here. So I'm going to go ahead and fold each of these 4 pages. I've got my score tape on that 1/2 inch. So you want to do that part as well. Now here we go. I'm going to start with the first page. And I'm going to line it up with the left edge of this pocket. We're making a sideways waterfall here. I don't know what you call that, besides a sideways waterfall. So again, lining it up with the edge of the pocket, the bottom of the page. I will go ahead and put this into place, remove the rest of the liner, and I'm in good shape. I'm a little high, but I'm not going to let that stress me. I'm going to fold back this page, grab my next one, and I'm going to go ahead and remove all the score tape on this. They're such short pages, it just seems a little kooky to stop midway, but that could be the right answer too. You do what you think is best. What I want to do is to line this up right next to the one before it. Hopefully straight. I'm a little off here. So there's page 2 placed. And as I open that up, I'm ready to install page 3. Lining up my fold right next to the edge of the previous page. And I have one last page to put in here. I dropped too soon. If you pick up carefully and you haven't pressed on it, you can sometimes do what you need to do. So we've got this cute little sideways waterfall that's on that center pocket. How fun is that? So that gives us step 12 completed. So we've got the full waterfall in place. Now we're going to grab the second diagonal pocket that we made. We're looking for page 4. So I've got page 1 and 2 in the front, page 3 and 4 in the back, and I want it on the front of page 4. And if you think about what we're doing, we're making essentially the same, a mirror image of what we did on the other side. So this is the last page of the book, the last page that you added, I should say. I'm going ahead and removing the score tape liner, excuse me. And I want this, it's really hard to get this page into view, but I'm gonna do it. I want it to match the corner of this page, the bottom, this side. And I've got my cute little corner pocket installed back here. I also have the second 6.5 by 6 pocket that I put together for the front. That was on our very front page, if you remember, opening to the top. I'm going to go ahead and put that at the back. It's going to match the folded edge of that page. Opening, match at the bottom, opening to the top. So you have essentially a full page pocket again. These I really like to just install the bottom first and then fold them up, fold them back, pull the tape, and install the rest. And that's because with so much score tape exposed, you have these little oopses that happen. I'm not where I want to be. So I'm pulling it carefully in the direction that I laid it down. You can see I have very minimal damage there. And my score tape is fine to reuse. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it back down. Try and follow the bottom of the page this time. So the pocket is installed at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and flip it back. Remove these score tape liners on either side. And then I can go ahead and fold it up into place. Now I want to be right next to the score line there. And I'm in good shape. So my front and back, first and last pages have matching pockets, which is kind of cool. Now we need to grab a 4 3/8 piece by 2.5 piece. It's scored on 3 sides. Guess what? It's another pocket. So you know the drill by now. We're going to go ahead and trim out the corners. I'm going to fold it up and crease those folds really good. I'll go ahead and check my pocket on the outside. It looks good. On the inside, no overlap on that side. Certainly none on this side. You can see I cut pretty wide on this side. It doesn't matter. It's really okay. Now this is going to be added to the far right inside flap. So we're way over here. We're going to add this to the bottom edge of this inside cover, and it looks like we're centering as opposed to matching one side or the other. We just want to match the bottom. So that's where the pocket gets installed. We're at step 16 if you're following along with the written instructions. I'm going to go ahead and pull the liner and install the bottom here first. Maybe this liner doesn't want to come up. Okay. Then I can fold it back, remove the rest of the liners. and put this pocket, fold it right back into place. We've got a pocket in our back cover. We're done with that first page too. In step 17, we're now going to look for a piece that's 4 3/8 by 3 inches. So here we go. We're going to trim the sides out of this, which means we're going to cut to the score line, and we need to trim so that there's 1 3/4. Going to check this again. 1 3/4 inches at the top. So the easy way for me to do that is to just make a cut in at that 1 3/4 line. Same thing on this side. Cut at the 1 3/4 line. You're cutting to the score line. When you cut the piece out of the bottom, you're going to extend just a little bit angularly and cut up to the score line. So I'm a little bit to the left of this line. I'm going to cut to the top, and you shouldn't see any big angles or anything like that. What we're doing is we're making a pocket that will slip right inside this one we just installed. If it's not small enough, you need to trim some more out. It looks like I need to trim some more out to get that to slide in okay. And we're generally talking about little bits here, not big chunks, so don't get over crazy pulling it out. What you want to do is then fold these sides back. Go ahead and burnish them into place. When I've got it folded back, I can see that here at the top, I'm just not cut over far enough. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that on that one. This one, I'm okay. So I think my top pocket should just slide right in now. Just like that. So what I want to do then is remove the score tape liner. I'm going to slide my top pocket into my bottom pocket. When I'm happy that it's straight and it's pretty much everything's good, I can go ahead and press that top pocket into place. So what I end up with is 2 pockets on this page, a super deep one because it goes all the way to the bottom. Remember, we didn't put any adhesive on the bottom. And then I have this shorter one at the front. So now we're looking for a 3.5 by 5.5 inch piece. It has 1 score line at the top. There we have it. We're going to fold back on this score line. Of course, burnish it because we want a good crisp fold. Get some of these score tape pieces out of the way. And then this is going to install at the top of that page, so it kind of gives a little flap over the pocket. So score tape on the 1/2 inch flap. Go ahead and remove that liner. Now, if you haven't fully centered your pocket, you don't want to center this piece either because this needs to cover over that pocket. So I'm just sort of laying it over the top, guiding it up into place where it matches my top edge. And I'll push it into place. And so I have a flap covering my pocket, and we're through step 19. There's not much left. So 3 and 4, pages 3 and 4, the last two pages, are going to close to the left. 1 and 2 close to the right. And then these two close into the center. And that's your mini album, at least for now until we decorate it. There's one remaining piece, and that is the belly band that goes around and keeps the book closed. We're not going to do anything with it right now. Actually, we can go and do one thing. We'll go ahead and fold and burnish on those lines, score lines that are there, including the pre-folded one, because we want that to be a good solid crease too. And what this belly band does is it then goes around your book and it acts as a closure to just sort of keep everything together. So we're going to do the decoration part before we do anything with this. There is a magnet that's included in your kit. We're going to set that aside for right now. You can use that as a closure, although it's not what I'll call the best closure, because when you get 2 or 3 layers of paper together, the magnets don't make enough contact to work as well as they should. So I prefer using the little Velcro dots. That's what I'll be using when we do the decorate video. But you can take a look at both options at that point and decide what works best for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.